Hello and welcome to the London Something podcast with myself, DJ Ron, and thank you for joining us today on our channel. To those of you who have chosen to like, comment, share and subscribe, we really appreciate your support, as by doing so it really helps our channel grow and reach more people. Big shout out to our sponsor West End DJ, who with their continued support helps us to provide more of this content for you, the listener. Check out the link below and use the London Something code to get a discount for the best DJ and sound equipment for all your needs. While my next guest doesn't profess to be the first, she is without doubt one of the earliest female MCs on the circuit and has played a significant part in the female MC movement and the scene as a whole. I'd like to introduce my friend, Indigo Reign, formerly known as Lady MC and who I call Kerry.
Hello.
How you doing, Kerry? You okay?
All right, Ron.
Yeah. Lovely to see you here.
Thanks for having me here.
And thanks for coming. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
I know you're a very, very busy lady, and I know you're having just got back from hospitality in Croatia. And I know that you're an avid watcher of the podcast.
I am an absolute avid watcher. I've seen absolutely every episode.
That's
and,
amazing.
I enjoy everyone. I really do.
Thank you very much for your support. Like it's really appreciated.
Pleasure.
So I'd like to, therefore, there's no secret. You're going to know exactly how we start these. You know, we start from like your earliest memories to bring us up to the person who we knew as Lady MC, and then for whatever reason that changed to now Indigo Reign, and that will bring us up to present day. But for the moment, tell me, like, what were your earliest memories growing up? Like as a young Kerry O'Brien.
I think I'm going to take it back before conception.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. This is new. Okay.
I want to talk about my parents.
Go for it.
Yeah. So, my dad, he was Irish, born in Dublin. A lot of people would say that he was quite a troubled soul from a very young age. Like he would run away, 8, 9 years old, run away from home, and go and live and stay with the travellers. Really? In Ireland, always go missing. And then he ran away from Ireland when he was 13 and stowed away on a boat and came to London.
What?
When he was 13. The stowaway bit, I'm just assuming, because I don't know how else he would have got here at 13.
Yeah, cool.
And then he came to London and he lived on the streets, and he became... I think a hustler. I wouldn't say a hustler. I think he became a villain.
Okay.
They're not my words; they're my mum's words.
Yeah. Okay.
But he became he became a bank robber.
No way.
He was doing all sorts of jobs. He was a getaway driver. Did all sorts of things. And I remember my mum telling me that she thought that he maybe got groomed by a man, because when she met him, he was living with this man. Anyway, so my mum is half Punjabi, half German.
Right, okay.
Born in the early 60s. My mum was pretty much called Paki Nazi from 0 to primary school.
Yeah.
And it was really bad for her. Really, really bad for her. And so she changed her name. Her name initially was Singh with an H at the end.
Yeah.
And she changed it to try and disguise her heritage before going to secondary school. And that didn't quite work out, because there was someone in the primary school that came to secondary school and blew her up. But anyway, my mum had a tough time, being Indian and German, coming out of the Second World War, time-ish.
Yeah.
So, and then when she was 16, she met my dad at Vauxhall College.
Okay.
But my dad wasn't studying. He was loitering.
Yeah.
Hanging
around, as people do outside colleges.
Yeah.
Don't they? Yeah.
And then he met my mum when she was 16, and my dad was about, I think, 3 years older than her.
Okay.
My mum was a single child. Her mum was very busy, quite detached. And if you can imagine everything that mum had been through from, when she was born until school, she was, very easily influenced.
Yeah.
So anyway, they got together. My dad was doing jobs, and my mum ended up, being part of it, more through influence, 16 years old.
Yeah.
Imagine a 16-year-old.
I bet it was a bit exciting as well to some degree for her, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
She never described it as that to me.
Okay.
Just influenced.
Okay.
You know, and my dad was her first love as well. So anyway, they did a job, and basically had the police after them.
No way.
They went on the run.
Was that 16? Your mum's 16 now?
Yeah.
That's wild.
16.
Yeah.
So they went on the run to go to Ireland. But by that time, their pictures were plastered everywhere.
Really?
Train stations, everything.
No way.
So they got stopped. My mum didn't, I don't know what happened. Dad got arrested. And they stupidly put my dad in an open prison.
Right.
And then he went in there and he escaped.
Okay, yeah.
Went to go and find my mum. And then went to go back on the run to try and get to Ireland.
Okay, yeah.
But
With your mum?
With my mum.
Right, okay.
Yeah. But they both got caught. And my dad went to a more higher security prison. And my mum, 1 month pregnant with me, went to Holloway prison.
Really? Wow, I did not know that. Right, okay.
So my mum spent her whole pregnancy in Holloway prison.
Right.
And I spent the first 6 weeks of my life.
In the prison?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I was actually born in Dick Whittington Hospital, which is next to Holloway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I spent the first 6 weeks
What an incredible
in
sort of
jail.
story. So yeah, you were right to give us the first pre-birth context, you know. But carry on. So your mum does nearly a year in prison.
About 8 months.
About 8 months.
She was just over a month pregnant when she went in. Everyone was trying to convince her to abort me.
Right, yeah.
And I love my mum for that, man.
Yeah.
Like, 17 years old, like, in that situation, you know, it would have been very easy just to...
Yeah, of course.
You know, but here I am.
Yeah,
I love
of course.
my mum for that, man.
Yeah. So you're like... So you were born in the prison?
Well, I was born
You were born in the hospital
next,
but your mum was still in prison. And then they've released her.
We were in prison together.
Yeah, that's right. Then they've released her. How long after you were born?
6 weeks.
6 weeks, right. Okay, so yeah, because you said that, you were in there for 6 weeks. So tell me more. This is an interesting story.
So we get out, we get put into sheltered accommodation or some sort of special accommodation. So me and my mum are in sheltered accommodation. My dad was... Sorry, I just laugh every time I think about this. My dad was basically deported back to Ireland and told never to return back to London. Of course, they deported him and he got on a boat came straight back to London to find me and my mum.
Yeah.
He'd never met me before.
Okay.
So he was on a mission,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
to come find
That's
his child.
Daughter. Yeah,
you know?
That's right.
And so they came back. I don't know how my dad got away with all the things he did, but bearing in mind back in the early 80s, cameras, all that stuff went about. It must have been much easier to be a criminal, I think.
Of course, yeah.
Then we lived together in Clapham, and then my brother was conceived.
Okay.
My dad became a mortuary technician.
Okay.
And then got a job as not an Uber driver, a taxi driver. But my dad was inherently a villain. So wherever he went, problems will follow. So he did what he did. He'd done another job and we had to flee the UK again.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. My mum said she had to literally, she just got a flat in Clapham, she was starting to build. And again, up we had to go. And then we had to move to Ireland. My brother was 6 weeks old at this time. This part is really interesting because there's two bits to it. So my brother had a bacterial meningitis and they found a tumour in him and he was so young. So my mum's 22 years old at this point, 22 years old and been through all that. And so we're in Ireland. My mum is trying to, get my brother better. They managed to cut the tumour out. And yeah, he was okay. But early 80s, being a Brit in Ireland was the height of the IRA. And we were British.
Yeah.
And basically the IRA sprayed our whole house saying, "Get out, Brits," with a gun sign. So basically our lives were at risk. So we had to leave. So my mum called the Dublin Corporation and they lifted us out of there immediately because we were going to get, the house was going to get shot up, basically, for being British.
Yeah.
And so we moved to Clondalkin, another part of Ireland. But the same issue was still there. Being British in Ireland at that time was just, you know, and then we've got this skin, and then we've got, you know, it's just a whole mix of stuff. Oh, God, my mum, when I think about my mum's life, I just always just think, wow, you know, this woman just carrying these 2 kids through all this with this husband that is just, oh my God, just bringing trouble everywhere, everywhere he goes. You know, and my dad was abusive from a very young age. I didn't know, I only found out recently how early it started, but yeah, he was always quite abusive. So my mum was...
We're talking physical abuse here right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So my mum got abused left, right and centre in Ireland, and she just said, "I just want to go home." So we got again, and we went back to London.
But this time without your dad?
No, my dad came.
Your dad came, right, okay.
Yeah, we were always moving together.
Okay, yeah.
Even in chaos and trauma.
Right, yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And then we went back to London, and we moved into... I remember this, I can still smell the laundrette. It was some happy times, and I don't have many happy childhood memories. I can really count them. Yeah. But we lived above a laundrette in Clapham, and really happy memories there, man. My mum and dad got married. I just used to remember always being on Clapham Common, you know, like playing frisbees.
It's interesting that the choice of Clapham Common, was there like an Irish community there or something? Or
I don't know. My grandma lived in Brixton.
Maybe that's why then,
Yeah. And
this
also
is on your mum's side.
My mum's side.
Yeah, of course.
And also they met at Clapham Vauxhall College.
Right, yeah, because that's
so
in
all
South
that
London as well.
kind of
So
same
there's like a South London sort of like region, going on, yeah.
And yeah, we lived there for a couple of years. I'm sure we moved because my dad was up to something, but anyway, I've got no evidence of that.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah, yeah.
And then we moved to Abbey Wood, and in southeast London, to a bigger house. Then my sister was born around that time. I think it was around that time. It's very hard to pinpoint dates, but
that's okay.
And then not long after that, all my memories are just, it's just a lot of violence. A lot of abuse, emotional, physical.
And you're what age now? If you've got like your 2 siblings at this point,
I'm 10.
You're 10, right? So you're like a good age to recognise what's going on now.
Yeah, but helpless, totally helpless.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I could only imagine that they say that trauma can even stem from in the womb for the children. And so then to come out and then that to continue in that way, because that's like 10 years. That's like 10 years of being with with the utmost respect, being with this man who he's the husband and the father, but he's also the perpetrator of like the challenges, you know what I mean? In a way, it sounds like he was perhaps making things worse off, while perhaps also was he the breadwinner as well at that time?
No.
Okay.
He would work.
Yeah.
But he would drink every penny of it.
Oh, sorry
He was a raging alcoholic.
Sorry to hear that.
So my mum would hold down like 3 jobs just
That is mental.
Just for us to survive, and we were on the breadline, really on the breadline. And my dad earned really good money. He was a foreman. That was really well paid money, but you know, he would drink it all, and you know, my mum would have to just pick up the pieces.
I have this sort of image in my mind, of these families that are going through the turmoil then, and yet they stay together, and it's like it's and I wonder sometimes is that here you are, a 10-year-old, yeah, going through all that, a girl as well. Your mum couldn't be that much older. She's got
17 years older than me.
yeah. So she's like still a young woman. Did she ever share with you why she hung on?
I really think she wanted us to have a family. And I really feel like, I don't know the answer to that question, Ron, but I do know my mum experienced trauma all her life too. So I guess when you find someone, regardless of what's going on, first love, my dad was her soulmate, regardless of how he was, you know. I don't know. But I do know that she regrets it. You know. But I don't blame her. She was so young.
Yeah, I was just curious. I mean, it's certainly not a judgment. It's certainly not a judgment. I was just curious because, I rate your mum for doing what she did and trying her best to keep her family together. And essentially, that's what I feel. That
she had no sisters, no brothers,
exactly,
no cousins.
Yeah. And even that,
like,
imagine that.
No dad wasn't around.
Imagine that.
You know, like she was alone.
Yeah. Imagine that.
So, like, I think
Imagine
going back
that.
to your question, is that, you know, better than the devil you know.
I was going to say the same thing. I was going to
say,
say,
what I mean?
I was going to say, like, it's like,
and also there was
something was better than nothing.
And
in
also,
a way.
I think there was so much hope because, you know, we've only just spoke up to 10.
Yeah.
Like, we're not even touching the sides.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, Ron.
Okay.
Yeah. But I do know that from my own experience, is that my dad didn't want to be that way.
Yeah. I don't think any alcoholic wants to be the way they are.
No, he did not, honestly, he did not want to be that way.
No.
And I'm not trying to justify anything here, but, you know, and
I'm with you.
You know, it's like, you know, a guy cheats on his woman, right, for example. He loves that woman.
Yeah.
But he's got an issue.
Yeah.
He can't help but cheat. You know what I mean?
It doesn't diminish the love that there has for the other person, and like the alcoholic, you know, like at that time, I'd imagine there were periods, however long they were, where it was nice.
There was.
Do you know what I mean?
When he had no job and he had no income.
Yeah. That's when the nice times were.
There was peace, and it was beautiful.
What a juxtaposition that is.
Yeah, and you know, we can talk later on about mindset and belief systems and everything, and how that impacted me and my connection to money. You know, like how my connection to money was, when there's money, there is trauma, there is drama, there is, you know, when there's no money, there is peace. So you know, anyway, it's a whole new conversation, but yeah, there were times, you know, you're not going to be in that 24/7 and.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You know,
I mean, even what you said there is actually quite interesting because I'm sure people listening or watching this now will be like, well, hold on a minute, did she just now say when there's no money there's peace? Because I'm sure there are a lot of people who would say the complete opposite. You know, that they need the money to create the peace when the money's not there. So it'd be interesting when we get into that later to see how that clearly that peace that came from your dad not having the money in the home then related to you like that in later life. We know that this obviously was affecting you, right? But you're a 10-year-old girl at this point now that at least we're at this point here now. You're in school. You're
just about to start secondary school.
Yeah, so tell me about that and how you are as a young child growing up.
When I started secondary school, well, I always didn't feel part of anything at school. I was a real loner. And people look at my life now and say, what? Really? But I didn't feel part of any groups. And there would be, not all the time, but there would be regular occurrences where the police would be at our house all night. There'd be people fixing windows. There'd be, you know, because there'd be a whole lot of stuff going on.
That is wild.
And, you know, so I'm getting no sleep.
That's wild.
My brother's getting no sleep. You know, I'm going to school tired, or I'm going to school with bruises, or I'm going to school. So I'm very disengaged with people. And also, because we were on the breadline, I didn't feel like all those other kids. I didn't feel like, you know, everyone with the, you know, the best trainers and the, you know, I feel like maybe this is my perception of myself, but I felt like I was a scruffy kid, you know, and I was quite tomboyish as well. And I was very short and I was quite chubby. You know, I got bullied. I remember the summer holidays after my first year at school, bearing in mind that violence, aggression is normal to me. I'm not scared of it. It's normal. So it's normal. So I went away in the summer holidays and I said, if anyone fucks with me, I'm going for them. I just had a bee in my bonnet and I was like, I'm not taking no shit from anybody.
Came back gangster.
Something happened to me.
Yeah.
You know, when you're sort of dealing with that sort of stuff at home and you've got these kids kind of like, it's just like you've got no idea like what I'm seeing on a daily basis. So I got back in year 8 and there was this guy. What's your name if you're watching? There was a guy, I forgot his name.
Yeah.
If he's watching, he'll know.
Yeah.
Tall guy, ginger head, right? He bullied me in year 7. Kept calling me fat little midget. Oh my God, I'm feeling emotional talking about this. Oh God, this feels like therapy. Anyway, he came back and I saw him walking down the corridor. And he called me the name. And I jumped on him and I took his head and I lost red. I don't even remember it, but I basically split his whole head open on this on this radiator. Don't call me a midget. It was something happened to me, but it was almost like it had nothing to do with him. It was like I didn't know I was helpless at home, and you were my outlet. I never really had a huge amount of friends at school. I had my music. It was me and my cassette tape. Always. So all the girls used to like listen to Jodeci and R. Kelly, and I just weren't interested. I wasn't interested in all that girly stuff. Give me some tunes, like headphones, you know.
And what kind of tunes were they at that time?
Yeah, I mean, when I first started school, it would be like Salt and Pepper, MC Hammer, MC Light. You know, I was really into hip hop, that element of hip hop. It was like poppy hip hop, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then, sort of like 93, 94, sort of 13, 14 years old. That's when Jungle Mania compilation came out.
Yeah. Just a couple tiny little steps back, when you spoke about school,
Yeah.
And you felt like you were the scruffy child. You felt you were on the breadline, you said, yeah? When I think about that, there's something about that I was like, oh yeah, I resonate to that. Yeah, you know, most of my mates were like that. But actually, this is quite recent in comparison to my version because you're so much younger than me, and so this is in modern times. You were having to go through all of that stuff we were just speaking about. This is like some ancient time. This isn't
90s.
Yeah, this is like modern in my opinion. I mean, somebody might say, Ron, 90s isn't that modern.
It's not. Right? Ron, it's not. It's like 30 years, man.
Yeah, but I don't know. I still kind of like, because I remember it, perhaps because I think about it so fondly those years.
Yeah.
I bring them into present time, and it just makes me feel that for you to have been going through that at that time, that was a period of time where, for most of my friends, we'd come out of the challenges. So it's weird. It makes me feel like, makes me recognise that, which is a bit ignorant of me, that just because it stopped for us, it doesn't mean it stopped for anybody else. It's probably happening right now to somebody right now. So you're at school and you kind of like change. You're found yourself in a way that you're not going to have it anymore with regards to this sort of bullying.
Yeah.
your sanctuary you found in listening to music and whatever as a loner?
I had friends, but it was like, you know, when you're at school, like there's the groups. You know, I just wasn't part of any of those groups.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's interesting, like if any of my school friends was to watch this, and they'd be like, "No, you were." They're like, "No, I wasn't."
Yeah, yeah.
Like
yeah.
you lot did not invite me into. Like no one was like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
"Come in, like come out with us," you know, like. But again, that is like when you look at it energetically, you know. I did not want anyone knowing what was going on in my life. So I guess, you know, I created that environment at school to keep me safe from having to expose, you know.
Yeah, because then if you had got more friends, then no more friends would be like, "Oh, come round for you."
Right.
They come round for you. It could be a bad day. You know, come round for you. The windows might be broken. It's like these are mechanisms that you're creating to protect you from some other trauma that's going to come if they find out about it, which is wild. It's crazy.
Yeah. So it's really, you know, where I'm at.
It's like layered, isn't it?
Yeah, like where I'm at, like consciously, that's how I see everything now. It's like, okay, why did I create that as a 10-year-old? Okay, well, 14, why did I create to be a loner? Why was I bullied? Why was I, you know, it's not even a why. It's just like, just acknowledging that everything we do, we create it to keep us safe in some way and to help us some way. Nothing is wrong or bad. Even what I've shared with you about my dad, I don't see any of it as bad.
No, it's just what it
you know what I mean? I really don't, you know.
But, you know, we've touched on it a little bit, and I don't have personal experience with alcoholism.
Yeah.
You know, like, I've had levels of addiction, I might say.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I know what that's like, but I've never been down a rabbit hole and not been able to come back out. And so I don't judge those who are not able to come back out or haven't come back out yet or never made it out, because that's not them. We'll never know why your dad at 13 left, why he was keeping up all of that trouble.
Yeah.
And we don't know, you know what I mean? We don't know why that happened. And so who are we there for to judge and go, oh, he was a bad man. He was bad only by virtue of that thing. Take that away. Who was that man then? Well, and this is the same for anybody going through that.
Yeah.
So no,
Yeah.
you know, it's easier said than done when I'm sitting on the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
But why I believe it as true is because I have friends like that.
Yeah.
And I have friends who've been through the mill. And while some of them, I still keep them like, oh, you're going to have to stay over there for a minute. It doesn't mean that I'm judging them over that. It just means that I can't have you coming and corrupting what I'm doing. So you have to stay over there.
Yeah.
But I'm not judging you for what's happened because I know you've fallen into this thing.
Do you know what's really interesting about my dad? Is that, and I talked about this on my TED Talk, and is that he was a really talented guitarist.
Oh, really? See? There you go.
Right? And, you know, I've been sort of painting this picture, and I really just need to, like, make sure I balance these scales properly in this chat. You know, I'd really like to do that because, you know, what my dad gave me was everything. Now, what I mean by that is, you know, he was a guitarist. He was an all right singer. He sang, you know, but he taught me how to write lyrics.
Okay.
At a really young age.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I was 11 at primary school, my last year of primary school, do you remember Top Banana?
No.
The TV show?
No.
You're old enough to know, you should know that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was a TV show where basically it was a kids' TV show. And they would invite groups of classes to this TV show. And each class would have a theme. And they would, you know, do a dance or make a song or whatever. And when I was 11, our class got picked. And I said, we should be the rapping witches. Right? So my whole class went up as rapping witches. We had the witches' hats on, the gold chains, everything. And me and my dad wrote the rap for the programme.
Yeah.
And that was my first lyric that I ever wrote.
Wow, amazing.
And we won it.
Oh, no way, really?
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I mean, so there you go. It's nice that you're saying that about, what a lovely story, because you're creating that balance about your dad, and it completely sort of like authenticates what I was just there saying about, you know, they're not take that away from them, take the alcohol or whatever the substance is away from them, then you're left as just a normal person.
You're left with a soul.
Yeah, and that normal person, he's not the person who's smashing the windows and doing all of that stuff. So this is a beautiful story about him, you know what I mean? So and one that has led you to be sat here now.
And this is why I love him.
Yeah. And it's to be sat here now.
And this is why, you know, I treasure, you know, my dad, God rest his soul, you know. So, but what that did for me, knowing how to write a song, a lyric, you know, all the pain I was feeling, all the confusion, because, you know, as a kid, you know, children blame themselves for everything. So if your parents are having a fight, a child's mindset is, it's my fault. It's a default.
I don't know. I didn't feel that when I was young, but
on a subconscious level.
Perhaps, yeah.
We're not saying, oh, it's my fault.
Certainly not on a conscious
level. Subconscious level.
Yeah.
You know, I'd speak a lot from that space, but being shown how to talk about my emotions and my feelings and being able to write about it, you know, it's like, give me the medicine to the poison, you know? So, yeah, man, I give thanks to my dad for that because, yeah, I mean, look what I've done.
So you're at school and you're in your music now, right? You still get into trouble at home. You're still doing that. You know, like there are moments of like, you know, endearing moments with your family and what have you, and you're now going into secondary school. Yeah. So if you think 93, 94, it is raging jungle in this country.
Yeah.
It is raging jungle. So tell me a little bit more about just that before we go back and speak more about your family and stuff like that and your siblings, etc.
So I met this guy at school, I was like, well, dating as much as you can at that age. I mean,
yeah.
Don't know if you can call that dating, but you know, I was like going out with
this
Jamaican guy. Do you know what I mean? And he basically introduced me to jungle.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You know, the Jungle Mania compilation, General Levy, and I was just like, what is this? And I just fell in love with the music. It was literally that's basically how it happened. And then I started going out.
Started going raving.
Yeah, but I looked 10.
Yeah.
When I was 14, I looked 10.
I was about to say that. I was about to say you must have looked really, really young.
I looked like I was in primary
short.
school. Yeah. I mean, it was. No one was letting me in nowhere.
Right. Yeah.
No one. But I was going to these little under 18.
Yeah. Okay.
These little under 18 things. And then when I was 15, there was this girl. She came to the school late, so she joined. I think like in our final year or the year before our final year, and she was like me, like just. Weren't really interested in the groups, the girls. She was naughty, but I loved her. Because I was naughty, you know. And she took me to my first rave.
Yeah.
She got me some fake ID. And she took me to the Four Aces Club, Club Labyrinth.
Wow.
1995. And I took my first pill.
And you were how old then?
15.
Okay. I mean, that's not too untoward, to be honest with you. I mean, don't shoot me, but that's a reality. It's a fact. There were 15-year-olds at raving.
Yeah.
It's end of story.
It was so cute, though, because people would see me in the rave and they'd be like, are you all right? Who are you here with? You know, like, I look so young.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and then that moment was literally, like, changed my life forever. The beautiful thing about this, connected to the music, was that, Demas J, who's an MC you may have heard of.
Yeah.
He knew my mum, and basically he was like my guardian.
Yeah.
Like basically I wasn't allowed to go anywhere without Demas. Yeah, so he's like my big brother. And anyway, so I go to Labyrinth every week out of my nut. Do you know what I mean? Enjoying myself, enjoying the hardcore. It was amazing. And then he'd get up there and he'd be MC, and I'd be just looking at him like, wow, watching him every week. I go home out of my nut. Do you know what I mean? Writing loads of lyrics, getting back, can't sleep, obviously. Do you know what I mean? Writing lyrics. Then one day I went up to him and I said, brother. I said, there was like this little piece of paper, right? It's like 6 lines or something. And I said, can you like MC my lyric for me? And he went,
that doesn't happen anymore.
Right?
Yeah.
He went, no, you do it. I was like, what? And I was like, no, I can't do it. So I went back and I practiced my 6 lines.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the next week I got on the stage and, you know, spitted this small bar. The crowd was so amazing. I mean, God, can you imagine like this little chick? No one had ever seen a female MC anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm this little girl. And that was my home. That's where I really started to home in being an MC. Like, I wasn't any good.
So from that point, you'd MC every week?
No.
Okay.
Well, listen, I mean, in that era, I'm taking mic.
Yeah,
Wherever
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going. If there's an opportunity, if you go toilet, put the mic down, I'm taking the mic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you want to go bar and get a drink, that's fine. But that mic, I'm going to pick it up until you come back.
Yeah.
That was my thing, you know. And then one day, 1996, Joe and Sue, who the owners of Labyrinth, I came in and they were like, Kerry, like, come here. And they pulled me into the office and they opened up this big poster and they were like, Main Arena, introducing Kerry. And I got my first name on a flyer.
Right, yeah. And it was just Kerry.
Just Kerry.
Right, yeah.
Just Kerry. It was amazing. It was with Kenny Ken, actually. And yeah, man, I'm just so grateful to Joe from Club Labyrinth, man, because he, like, I don't know what he saw in me, but he just, you know, gave me that. But, you know, that was my home. Like, Labyrinth became my sanctuary. It was like, it's where I'd go, it's where I'd escape, where I'd get away. It's where I met new friends. It's like new family. You know, people were seeing me. Like, you know, I wasn't heard at home. I wasn't heard at school. You know, but the stage.
Yeah, I was speaking with somebody, he said 90% of his friends that he has now were all from this scene. You know, they've all grown up together within this scene from teenager through to their 40s. They know each other's children, they go on holiday with each other, and I just find that remarkable.
I can second that.
Yeah, I find that remarkable. I think, like, what a network that this has created of friendships and hope and sanctuary and somewhere else that you can call home.
Yeah, I just feel like it saved me. Yeah, I really do.
Okay, so you're 15 years old, and you know, and hence why I kind of brought up the anecdote about friendships within the rave scene, because I can imagine that for you, having this place to go on a weekly basis, not only going but being a part of it by virtue of like MCing and what have you, it was an escape for you, you know, like in relation to your home life.
Yeah.
Was your home life at that time, how was the trajectory of that at that time? So your personal exterior life to home seemed to be moving in a different area. How was it back home at that time?
Do you know what? I'll be honest, I can't remember.
You can't remember?
Because I didn't want to. It was like, by whatever means, stay out of the house.
Okay, that's
basically what it was. It was just bad. And the thing is, I didn't mentally say that, but subconsciously now, on reflection, zooming out, I can see that everything from 15 to 22 even, you know, was just stay away.
That was a long period of time. Yeah, it's a long period of time.
Yeah, and I had some really great friendships as well out of school. Karina, who you know, we met, and Ashley Chin, her brother. You know, we always used to hang out together, and we used to go round to her house and mix and.
Such a small world, it is.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
So you know, and I was really close to her mum. And I was around their house all the time. Like we used to do sleepovers. Yeah, we used to go around there and we used to MC, and I used to MC with Ashley. And there was one day that, do you remember Cool School?
Yeah, I do remember
Powerhouse.
it well. Yeah.
Yeah, so
right.
Karina and Ashley, they were like, you're coming to Cool School and you're going to smash it. I'm like, I do that. I'll come and rave. So it was the third Cool School. It was 1995. Went to Cool School and they put my name down on the competition because there was a competition there, innit?
Yeah.
There was like 13 other MCs. I was the only girl. And Shy FX was on the decks. Skibber was like hosting. And I got up there and I won the competition. Like, I went up there and I just smashed it.
Yeah.
You know, but again, it was like these building blocks that, yes, okay, music, MCing, like it's a label. But what it was for me, it was about, and I recognise this now because I work with young people and I understand the impact of, the long-term impact that this has on young lives.
Yeah.
It's like winning something after not being very popular at school, you know, not really being seen or heard at home, simply just because of everything that was going on. You know, those moments there, like the Labyrinth moment, the winning the Cool School competition and, you know, Eastman giving me 50 quid. Do you know what I mean? Oh my God, like the owner of Cool FM, do you know what I mean? It's like massive, you know? And it's those moments there that kind of like help you build yourself as a person, as a young person, you know? It's like, I am capable of something, I can do something well, I can be seen, I can be loved, and I can be, you know, all the things that happens when you know, when you're on a stage, so to speak. So sort of going back to the friendship and the music and the escape, like again, that was a real big moment in my life where I was like, oh my God, I can actually do this.
Yeah, I can
mean?
imagine there's these life sort of like tipping points, I suppose, or sliding door moments, or whatever you want to call them, where this thing happens that is not only the thing, but it's how it makes you feel, and then how that kind of like runs through, like whether it be months or years later, that one thing that kind of like keeps you going again, you know?
You know, I spoke to Karina this week because I knew I was seeing you today, so I was just like, just want to get a little bit of like, a bit more information because my memory's not great. Because I was in a car crash, which we'll talk about maybe, and then so I said to her, what was I like? She was like, she had no idea. Like, she said, you never spoke to anybody about what was going on in your house. She's like, only years on when we spoke about it did you tell me. And it's like it made me realise, like, because I'm quite introverted. Like a lot of people disagree with that. But I'm a very introverted person, and I think that it comes from, you know, having to hold so many things to my chest as a young person. Do you know what I mean? And she was just telling me that, you know what I mean, like you never would have known. She said, but you were messed up. She was like, you were a messed up kid. Yeah. And she said, even my mum used to say it to me. She was like...
Without knowing what was going on, your mum sort of like could sense something was right.
Her mum would always say to her, is she okay?
Right, yeah. She knew something wasn't right.
She knew something wasn't right at home. But I refused to talk to anyone about it.
Yeah.
And but it's interesting. It's just like interesting having these conversations, asking someone, oh, what was I like then? And what, you know, and then you just forget.
Yeah.
What do you mean I didn't tell you?
Yeah,
It was like massive in my life. And then you look at, you know, kids today and you're like, you understand why when kids are going through traumatic things, why they don't talk, you know? I don't know what my point was there.
No, you made the point very clearly, you know what I mean? That, you know, like it was your friend who kind of like reminded you that, you know, the type of person that you were back then, you know what I mean? That you had one version of yourself, which was the version that was the outside version, which is like, everything, Chris, that's right, you know what I mean? But then you were going home to that. Definitely yours was an extreme version of that. But I believe like a lot of young people, working class people, had something similar going on. It was never very easy back in the day, you know what I mean? You know, like, and so thank God you had something that did help you pull you out from that sort of, not pull you out, but as a substitute for being at home, and it's where you live, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So then if you're not at home, you've got to be somewhere else. And so you're either going to be on the street, keeping up things on the street, or you're going to have some sort of like network there, whether it's a community centre or a mentor of sorts that can steer you, that you keep going back to take over from being at home, you know?
Yeah. Well, my mum put me into, I was a sea cadet.
Okay.
My mum put me into the cadets.
Yeah.
When I was 14.
Right, okay.
And so alongside, you know, doing this music thing, keeping up with my badness at school.
Yeah.
My mum was like, this girl needs discipline.
Yeah. Sea cadet. That's like a version of Cub Scouts and things like that.
Well, it's like more militant version.
Oh, it is really.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I mean? It's, you know, you're in it's like the Navy.
Okay,
Youth corps.
You
You know what I mean? But I just went there. I just caused badness.
Really?
Like, yeah, I was just so. My mum always says to me, "You were and still are a rebel."
Yeah.
And I'm a proud rebel. I'm happy about that. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, and I'm a rebel for the right reasons now. But, you know, like I remember being at cadets. I used to go out smoking up the place, drinking up the place, like going to the toilets.
And
like,
you're like 15 this time, yeah, 14, 15.
15.
Yeah.
And there's a funny story that my mum tells everyone, which is, so I was drunk in cadets. And like there was, bearing in mind the Sea Cadets, it was at the Naval College in Greenwich.
Okay.
You know, the big naval college.
Yeah, I know the college.
You
yeah,
know,
yeah. It's a beautiful building and that.
Yeah, you know, and there
Is
was
that the one with the nice building, right?
Yeah, the one opposite the Queen's House near the Cuts Up.
That's right. Yeah.
Anyway, there was one time where I was just lean up in the place, and they said stand to attention, and basically I stood to attention and put my hand on the wall and hit the fire alarm.
No way.
And there were helicopters, fire brigade.
Oh my God.
Like literally, my mum could have got a bill of £1 million that day.
Way.
And anyway, I got chucked out.
That's probably on record somewhere, you know that?
It probably is, yeah.
Yeah.
But I tried. I mean, did I enjoy it? I don't know. I don't think I enjoyed it. I found my boyfriend there, like, you know. But you know, but yeah, I was trying to. My mum was trying. You know, she was trying to like. She could see. She could see. I was. Yeah, on the, you know, and I feel like, on reflection, as a big adult now, like. God, like, what about my brother and my sister? Like,
I was about to ask you about what was happening with them at the time.
And the thing is, Ron, every human being, they create their own life for no one is to blame. I wasn't there for them, and you know, I'm to blame. But at the same time, you know, I do feel bad about not being there for my brother and my sister.
When you say not being there, what do you mean by that?
I was just out of the house, like left them to
be in the turmoil, yeah.
You know, and I've never really spoken to my brother and sister about that, you know, and asked them how they felt about that. My brother and I, you know, we're only 18 months apart. You know, I love my brother to death, but, you know, there's always been something between us that's just not right. And I had this sort of realisation very recently, like talking the last 3 months.
Yeah.
I was in a meditation and, you know, just this message came to me, and it was just like I abandoned my siblings.
Really?
Like I feel like I abandoned my siblings. It's quite a recent realisation because I do feel very healed. You know, I feel very like we can talk about the 20 years of self-work that I've done on myself to deal with the first 20 years, you know, but I do feel like there is an element of, you know, what did happen to my brother when I was away? You know, and bearing in mind, like, you know, as I got into my later teens, like, I got involved in a lot of really heavy crime.
The fact that you've only just sort of, it sounds recent that you've had this realization about your siblings and bearing in mind that you're a sibling as well.
Yeah.
You know, and also that you have there seemed to be a bit of a tiz-was between your brother that's been there for some time.
There's just been this thing between us, and like I don't know what it is.
And you don't know what it is, but however, you still have a sense that this abandonment. Who knows, that there may be some way it might be linked, perhaps.
You don't know what, maybe, and you know, I would love the opportunity to speak to him about it. But you know, sometimes people's level of self-awareness is in very different two places. So for me to bring up something from 30 years ago,
I understand
maybe,
that.
and say, oh, you know, are you still upset with me about what happened 30 years ago? It's like, for anyone that's not super evolved and super self-aware, they'd be like, oh, that's nonsense.
Yeah.
Of course I'm not.
Yeah, I understand, yeah.
But actually, you know, the reality is that any relationship, you know,
could have like long-lasting
effects. And also, we don't even realise it.
No, we don't even realise it.
You know, and again, this goes into like the 20 years of work that I've done in the sort of self-development, self-awareness, spiritual, whatever you want to call it, field.
Yeah.
You know.
It sounds to me that closer to your 20s and what have you, yeah, it's not a double life, but it's like you're walking two forks in the road simultaneously, which I suppose some might could say is a double life.
Yeah.
You know your family's there, and you know what you've been through and what is potentially going on, but you've found an outlet.
Selfishly, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know whether it's selfish. Because the only other thing you could have gone is gone, oh, this is nice, but you know what? I'm just going to stay at home. Would that have been better? I'm not sure. I don't think it would have been.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think that would have been a solution for that, because then I don't know. I just don't think so. I think that. Positive is positive, and if you found something positive, then you should explore that.
Yeah.
And you did explore that. I'm not saying that everything at home was negative, but it certainly wasn't making you want to stay at home.
It wasn't nourishing.
Yeah, there you go. So it wasn't nourishing. So here you are now. You found this, and you're walking these two sort of like paths. Because I'm quite confident that after a period of time, and this is a period of time that I didn't know you, but I remember the rave scene well. You know, I remember it well from when I was a raver, and it consumes you. Do you know what I mean? It kind of like, it's like...
Nothing else exists.
Nothing else don't really exist no more.
Yeah.
It's like, so that was Friday and Saturday. Boy, I'm recovering Sunday, a little piece, and then Monday I'm kind of, that was wicked on that weekend, innit? You're talking about last weekend. Then come Tuesday, Wednesday, you're starting to talk about the weekend coming. And that's how it went. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And that would happen for years. So whatever's going on elsewhere... That's your business, because I'm safe here, yeah?
Yeah. Tell
me about those years for you. Like, even though you're a young teenager, you're still in an adult space.
Yeah, so from 16 upwards, like you said, it was just about the raves and me discovering that I'm an MC. Everywhere from New Jack City to Helter Skelter to Heat to... slamming vinyl, you know, travelling all up and down the country, whatever rave I could get to with the crew, you know, that was generally what I was doing on a weekend basis. And, you know, wherever I could get that mic, I was getting that mic. You know, that was basically my mission. And then, you know, when I was 17, you know, I was so, I'm going to say lucky. I am going to use the word lucky. I don't really use that word often, but, you know, I was like touring Ireland and, you know, I was doing gigs in Germany, and it was insane for a 17-year-old for what I was doing, which was amazing. But as, you know, with the rave scene, you remember that time, Ron. You know the sort of drugs that were going around. You know what was happening. You know, and I got caught up. You know, I got caught up, man. But at the time, I didn't see anything wrong with it because everyone was doing it. It's normal. You know what I'm talking about. It was
of course, it was normal. Yeah,
everything was normal.
There's a lot of things that we did back in the day that although publicised as one thing, you know, in real life, people were looking around like, well, I don't look like that. I don't look like that on the telly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This is Chris. But actually, the fallout, we realised that as time went by, you realise, well, actually, it just hadn't happened yet.
Yeah. So with that life, yes, I had I kind of like 3 lives at this point now. So I'm going to talk to you about my 3rd life.
Okay.
That I was having all in parallel.
Okay.
So, you know, I had my home life. I had my sort of going out to raves, MCing, you know, exploring that. And then, you know, I got caught up with a crowd in South London. And, you know, they were my friends. You know, they're always your friends, aren't they? And I started to learn how to make some money, like some big money, easily, very quickly. I made a lot of money. Like, you know, I got involved in, you know, I was a fraudster. You know, quick money. You know, I was taking limousines to clubs. Mm-hmm. You know, all my friends. You know, it was fun. I was able to provide in the house. You know, I was able to like, you know, just literally, I wouldn't even be there. My mum would come home, the whole kitchen would be full of Sainsbury's bags. We couldn't afford Sainsbury's.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? As the vibes,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever
yeah,
it was. You know, I felt for the first time in my life that I could have anything I wanted. And that's what that life showed me. That's what that life made me feel like. You know, I had access to anything I wanted. I could buy anything I wanted whenever I wanted to buy it. But I was kind of initially groomed into it.
Of course, it sounds like it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It
you know,
sounds like
I was
it.
naive, you know, very naive. And like just telling the story of like my parents, it's like, oh, there's a cycle happening here.
Yeah.
I ended up being a getaway driver for some jobs,
Okay.
you know, and I only found out my dad was a getaway driver after all this happened. It's mad,
Yeah.
like the way it all worked out. But things started to catch up with me, and I got arrested a number of times, and I was able to wriggle my way out of it. You know, I played this, oh, I've never done anything wrong in my life person. You know, you do that 2, 3, 4 times. My mum's house is getting spun over every week. It's getting turned upside down. You know, my mum was just absolutely distraught. Imagine, you know,
I can, yeah.
everything that she'd been through. And now her daughter is now basically just turned into a version of her husband, basically. And this was over like a short period of time. It was over this maybe about 2 years.
Okay.
So sort of Tuesday to Wednesday, I'm out there just making money. Weekends, I'm out at the raves.
Yeah.
And then, you know, bringing it home. And
What year are we talking about here now?
this is around 99.
99?
99.
Really?
2000.
Right. Okay, right.
Yeah.
That late?
In my latter years. Yeah.
Okay, that late.
Still very lost. I was lost.
Right, yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter what age I was.
Mm.
You know. Anyway, so I did a really big job, and basically I got charged, and I was basically due back for sentencing. I was looking at about 2 years, and that was scary. Imagine how my mum felt about that. It was like I was like, oh, you know what? Let me just go back to where I started.
Yeah. Of course, yeah.
You know, I'm laughing about it because it really is quite comical. When I zoom out of this whole life, I'm like, wow, like it's a really interesting life, you know. But I still had people in my life, that a couple of sisters from West London, that were just warning me all the time, like, these aren't your friends, these aren't your friends. I weren't having none of it. All I was seeing was the money, freedom, you know. And then there was someone called, a really significant person in my life who I met when I was 15 at Labyrinth. His name's Femi. He used to be a film guy, one of the old film guys back in the day. You probably know him, Dreads. When I met Femi, there were these 2 houses on North Circular Road. And he owned one of the flats, and next door was empty, so we squatted it. So basically, we had 2 houses to do what we wanted to do. Yeah. One of the houses was like basically in each room there was decks, there was mics, it was basically like a homing ground for talent.
Sounds really good. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was amazing. You know, after parties, we'd all live there together. I spent the whole summer there when I was 15.
Yeah.
And he became an elder, like a significant person in my life, and he really cared about me. You know, they all did actually. They all did. All the North Circ crew. I was the little, you know, I was the baby, you know, and they all looked after me, man. But when this situation happened with the potential prison sentence, Femi popped up, and he said, "We've got to find a way around this." So he came to court with me, and he vouched for me, and he just said, "This is a traumatised young woman who has been groomed," which I was initially, but the people that tried to like make me work for them, when I realised they were trying to do me over, I just done them over. I was like, oh, okay, I got your game, and I just took all the bits and I just went about my business. You know, that's what ended up happening in the end. You know, but initially, I was kind of groomed into it. So he said that, you know, she's a very talented artist, blah blah blah, like, and basically what he said was, I will rehabilitate her. And I don't know who was watching over me that day, but I got off on it, and I got basically community service, and I got a ridiculous amount of community service hours. And
A high amount or a low amount?
a really high amount.
Right, okay. Yeah,
I worked in a charity shop for about 400 hours or something ridiculous.
Okay, yeah.
I like charity shops now.
You don't like? Or
No,
you,
I like charity
you
shops,
like
man.
Right,
I love a charity shop, man.
Yeah.
Listen, I love a charity shop. But yeah, that moment basically was the moment that everything stopped for me. That fear of going to prison.
You might not be the person who you are if you'd have done those 2 years. We might not be sat here right now.
We would not be sitting
we don't
here.
know. We don't know. We can't say you
who
can
knows?
never.
Yeah.
Can't say never, but certainly you wouldn't have been the same person.
Yeah.
So listen, let's move on. Femi gets you out of prison, gets you out of that, and your life
Situation.
changes.
Well, I
not
thought-
changes, but it makes you say, I need to reevaluate what I'm doing.
Yeah. The crew that I was rolling with were not happy that I wanted out. So they were enticing me to do all sorts of bits and pieces, you know, the drugs, the other bits, you know, carrying stuff in my car, you know, there was all sorts of stuff I was doing. That year, I shouldn't have done this, but the Winter Music Conference came. And because alongside this, I'm still absolutely hell-bent on being an MC.
Yeah.
It's like this multiple personality thing was going on. I don't know what was going on with me at that time, but I was like, I want to go to the Winter Music Conference, and I want to get on the mic.
Yeah.
I don't know what mic, I don't know what stage, but I'm going there and I'm going to get on the mic, right? I packed my suitcase.
I just want to say, for those of you who don't know about what the Winter Music Conference is, it's a conference that takes place in Miami. And I don't know if they still do it, but certainly in the 90s it would happen every year. And it was, there was a few DJs, including myself, who were kind of like first sort of like jungle DJs to go to. And then from that, a lot of other people started going. So if you were going in 2000, that must have been...
No, so I went, 2000. Yeah, so I printed up, you know, I got loads of demo CDs, you know, packed my bag with the CDs and got on a flight to Miami on probation. I'm not meant to be leaving the country.
Yeah.
Doing a dad.
Yeah,
right?
there you go, yeah.
I'm doing a Patrick O'Brien. I was like, I'm going. So there I am. I go to the Winter Music Conference. I think I met Shortston there, but I was pretty much like lone wolfing in Miami.
Yeah.
My mum is like, where are you going?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to do my music, mum. This child, right? Blows my mind. And I do what I set out to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to find Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah? Ultra.
Okay, yeah. Ultra,
Right?
yeah.
So I remember this day, and I'm so proud of myself for this because it opened a door that led to something else.
Yeah.
And so Ultra Festival, there I am, because there was no real backstage there. It was kind of like the crowd were there. There was a little barrier, but it wasn't... Anyway, so I'm just doing what I normally do, standing by this side of the stage, just looking, waiting for someone I know. Like, oh, IC Freeze there, I'm getting a mic. Ragga Twins are there, I'm getting a mic. If it's this person, they always used to look at me, oh, here she comes. Ask any of them, you know what I mean? But the MC put the mic down and he went off the stage. And I was like, this is my chance. I get on the stage, little self right there, I just take the mic and I go right to the front of the stage. And I just start spitting my best bars. The crowd are going mad. Anyway, I'm up there for 60 seconds because the security are like, who's this chick? Pull me off the stage.
Yeah.
Right? It was hilarious. But I was used to that because I was like, that's the only way I'm going to get heard.
Yeah.
No one ain't putting me on yet. Well, not no one, but the only way I'm going to make myself heard is by taking it.
Taking it, yeah.
You know, if I want something, take it.
Yeah, of course.
Even if it's illegal, I don't care.
Yeah.
If it's not my mic, I don't care. I'm taking it. Anyway, I came off the stage that day and got approached by someone, TC Islam, rest in peace.
Yeah,
the
TC,
soul.
yeah.
He was like, yo, man. He's like, yo, man. Where you from, man? You know, and we started getting this whole reasoning conversation and then I told him, I'm not even meant to be here, I'm on probation, like, you know what I mean? Like, giving this whole bad girl talk, like, I'm on probation, like, thought it was like cool.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't. Anyway, but I also told him about, you know what I mean, the situation that's going on at home, and I'm trying to get out away from a certain group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And he just said, come to New York, man. I was like, when? He's like, go home, pack your shit, come back. I was like, okay. Go back, see my probation officer, make out I've not been anywhere.
Yeah.
Fly to New York. I go to New York.
But with officially, like with the probation officer's blessing.
No.
Okay, right.
No. I'm just in and out.
Yeah, in and out. Okay.
Yeah. So I get to New York, and he lines up a few shows.
Yeah.
I love it there.
It's a great city.
New York.
Very different city then to now. That's for sure.
Totally.
Yeah, but that's another story. Yeah.
Totally. So I get to New York, do these shows, and he had this compound in New Jersey, like 40 minutes from the city in New York. Massive place. And he was like, yo, man, why don't you just move here? You got a room. And I was like, okay. So I go back. I can't remember how I got away with the probation situation. I don't know if the timings, I can't remember all the timings.
Yeah.
Right?
But either way,
Either way, I packed all my stuff and I left the country.
Right.
Got a one-way ticket.
Mental. And we're now early 2001, I'd imagine, around that time.
Yeah. So anyway, imagine this, right? So I'm in New York and I end up hosting for Cool Herc and Schoolie D. But at the time, I didn't realise who they were.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, naive. I'm a junglist.
Yeah.
I learned business about every other at the time. I was just so straight. I'm a junglist.
Focused. Yeah.
All the other genres, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
You lot do your thing.
Yeah.
I'm a junglist, right? They looked after me like a little sister. They kept me away from drugs. They kept me away from harm. They taught me about the rap game. You know, I learned about rap. I learned about hip hop. I learned about street battling. Oh my God, TC, he threw me on a stage. I'd never battled in my life. And we were in New York, right? And he was like, yo, man, we got a big ass bitch from London, man. She's gonna rip your ass. And I'm like this, what? I ain't gonna rip no one. I'm all right. I'm just here, like.
Yeah.
Man threw me on that stage. That's when I started to believe in God. Because that was the day where some stuff came out of me. It was literally like I just had to save my life.
Yeah.
On that stage. And I battled. I don't know what I said.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I smashed it. And I came off and my legs were like this. I was so absolutely terrified. But these are the moments of like boot camp. I was put for a boot camp in America. I lived there for a year.
Wow.
Yeah, I was there for a year. And, you know, I went...
That's wild, being there for a year.
Yeah. It was perfect to get away from everything. The house, the people, you know, and go and... Mum, it was a music opportunity, you know, and this is what I was saying earlier on, like, music saved my life, like, literally. And, you know, toured the East Coast, you know, did the whole of the East Coast, did every city in the East Coast, built a name for myself there.
And is that where the name Lady MC came from while you were out there, or is it...
Lady MC was 1995.
Okay.
And anyway, so I came back from America... clean, energised, happy, free. I was a woman. I started to become a woman. You know, I left a girl.
Yeah.
You know, and I travelled the world, like, been out into the big bad world. You know, there's a lot of things that happened there that, I had to grow up.
Yeah.
I really had to grow up. And I came back more mature, more focused. And that group forgot about me because I was gone for so long. Yeah. And that was it. And that was that life.
Behind you.
Behind me. And I never looked back.
I mean, that's fascinating to hear how the inspiration that took you to Miami, which is not an easy place to get to in the first place, to then kind of like that turning into the living in America for a year. And TC, God rest his soul, was a good guy. He's a good guy. Do you know what I mean? Really good guy. You know, I haven't thought about him for a long time until you mentioned his name now. So you were in good hands, you know what I mean?
Was in good hands.
Yeah, you were in good hands because he was a good soul. TC was definitely. This is TC Islam, by the way. For those of you who want to go and look him up, you know, he was he was like a American rapper, but heavily into jungle.
He created something called hip step.
Yeah.
And it was basically a mixture of hip hop and jungle.
And jungle, yeah.
I just want to big up Prince Tafari, all the crew, DJ Wednesday, you know, everyone that helped me.
Yeah, I remember Wednesday. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're back home now after this kind of like purging then, yeah? And so you've kind of like, you've got rid of these people who were there kind of like enticing you and, you know, like, nah, you ain't going nowhere. You know, like you're now fully embroiled in the idea that
I'm an artist.
You're an artist and you're, you know, this is me now. Right, and we're in the 2000s. My experience of the 2000s is very, very different to what most will think, and maybe one day people will get to find out. But you're in the middle of the you're at the beginning of the 2000s, yeah, and now you're in this country. What's happening in your life now, like on a personal and your work level? What's happening now?
So the year I got back from America, I came back to my dad. Who, in a drunken rage, took my brand new Golf and wrote the car off. So I came back to no car.
Okay.
That was like, welcome home.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it just continued. And then a couple of months later, my grandma got diagnosed with cancer, my mum's mum.
Sorry to hear that.
And my mum had to go and take care of my grandma, and I had to take care of the house. But I also managed to land a job. I got myself a job selling mobile phones, just, you know, shot in something.
Yeah. You know, like I can imagine without you even saying it that, you know what I mean? It's like, because I'm reading this like a movie right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I could almost picture that if your mama's not there and she's taking the brunt of it, now you're the eldest sister, do you know what I mean? But you're also not the same child you were before you just now left. So you're not the same child. You're like a woman now. And then here's your father. And you're like, I can imagine where another time you might have been like, well, listen, all right, Dad, and whatever. But perhaps now you were perhaps not standing for it so much as you may have done when you were younger.
Well, around that time, I used to roll with like MC Foxy, Fat Mandy, Shortston. I was part of that crew.
Okay.
You know, the South London crew. And they were my friends, and they all live local as well. They knew what I was dealing with in that house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't think they really understood. You know, there was one occasion really where my dad came back and he was raging drunk, and I mean, he went for me on a level that I've never even experienced a man going for me, and I called the man name over, and the man then beat him up. And that memory, no child should have to watch their friends kick the fuck out of their dad.
So you had to go through that.
Yeah, and my mum, I didn't tell my mum anything that was going on because she was dealing with her dying mother. You know, I was just holding the fort as a woman now. And she felt something as she came home that day. After that day, my dad left and we never saw him again.
Serious?
My mum said, don't you ever come back. And I genuinely believe it was the spirit of my grandmother. In the spirit world, I genuinely believe that my grandma did something where he just could not come back. So my mum lost her mum. My dad left. But you know what? The household had never experienced so much peace. We started to live a life that we'd never experienced before of peace.
And that's as a you're now got to be
21.
like 21-year-old girl. So imagine that 21 years. That's just you 21 years. Obviously your mum's been longer, but you've had 21 years of not having any peace in your own home.
This is basically what it was like, and you know, I'm sure my brother and my sister and my mum will agree. It's you never knew what was going to happen until about 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock was the time he came home from work if he hadn't been to the pub. It gets a bit later. Living a very uncertain life.
Wow, that's mental.
Yeah. I grew up and I've spent most of my adult life terrified of uncertainty which is why I've always been very headstrong, very determined, I need to know, I need to make it happen, you know, I need to make sure I know what's going on, because the fear of uncertainty could lead to a peaceful night at home where Dad might be on the guitar and we're having laughs and giggles. Or we could be up till 3 a.m. and there's feds at the house. But you know what, Ron? I missed him. It's weird. I was the closest to my dad. And I was the most abused, apart from my mum, out of my siblings. And when I say most abused, I mean, I used to lock myself in the bathroom and my dad used to sit on the other side of the bathroom telling me, you're shit, you're nothing, you're this, you're that. And it would be on repeat. Oh, you're nothing special, you're nothing special. That literally went into my brain. Whenever my mum was out, I mean, God, if my mum was home, he wouldn't dare. Because he had somewhere else to. But when my mum wasn't home, it was like, that was what it was. It was either licks or it was like emotional. And there's something about trauma bonding, you know. Even though he was gone, I was saying to my mum, do you know, I've never spoken about this. Ron. Could I be like, ah?
No.
Yeah, we never knew. Like, I was like, is he okay?
Yeah, because you didn't know where he was.
Is he all right?
Yeah.
He would call, my mum would just put down the phone. I get it. I don't blame her. Like, she found the strength to say no. Enough. Who was I to say, oh, but Mum, maybe we should.
Yeah, it's interesting because of the fact that she had done that for years, you know what I mean? There may be times when he wasn't at home and she missed him, even though...
she got rid of him loads of times.
Yeah, and this is the point I'm
like,
making.
Loads of times.
And I could imagine that when he was gone,
yeah,
she was going through exactly the same things that you're speaking about now.
Yeah.
Which is like, where is he? I wonder how he's doing.
Is he all right?
Is he okay?
Because he's lost soul, he's got no friends.
Yeah, and then he'd come back, and then she'd be like, okay, cool. You know, and I suppose, you know, that's not a...
abnormal thing.
It's not an abnormal thing.
Not.
Yeah. In even normal, I say normal, not even necessarily physical abusive relationships, but even general relationships. Sometimes it goes on for years of breaking up, splitting up, coming back together, because it's like you said earlier, almost like better the devil you know, until there's something that comes along that is beyond. It breaks the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah.
So in the household, you're finally experiencing like extended periods of peace.
Yeah.
I could imagine that could only have been quite a strange sensation, considering that you had, up until that point, lived this life where you didn't even know what was going to happen.
The thing is, Mum was grieving her mum. So for me, it was all about my mum. My mum was having a really hard time. As you would.
Because she's got 2 things now she's dealing with. 2 huge senses of loss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, yeah.
But, you know, my grandma left a bit of inheritance and my mum, she took us all to St Lucia.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
And for Christmas and
Lovely.
New Year. Beautiful memories, man. You know, real family memories. We'd never really been on many holidays or... You know, we did camping trips and stuff like that. But, yeah, it was so lovely to see my mum just...
I mean, even that is quite comforting for me to hear for you all.
Yeah.
You know, like your mum then going, you know, your mum was probably never ever in a position to do that before.
Exactly.
And then now she's going to take her 3 children to a Caribbean holiday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Things that they've never seen before. Well, certainly the younger 2 had never seen before in their life. They've probably never seen a palm tree in real life.
Yeah.
You know, and even so with all of that, Lady MC is still like...
I'm thriving.
Yeah, she's doing her thing.
She's thriving.
You know? Yeah.
She's like, this was at, you know, I would say leading up to my prime of the Lady MC era. That's what I'm going to call it. And I was getting booked for all the dances. You know what I mean? I really was. I just got on Cool FM. You know, prior to that, I was on Shadow FM. I'd done Rinse, you know, Pressure. You know, I'd done all these stations. And then I think around 2000, I got onto Cool. I was the first female MC on Cool FM. The first girl.
Congratulations.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It took me a while to get through to Eastman. Because actually, you know, I'll say this quite frankly, the prize for winning the Cool School competition was meant to be getting a show on Cool FM.
Okay, yeah.
But he didn't give me the show. I love you, East.
I wonder why not. I wonder why not.
Didn't give me the show. But yeah, I got onto Cool. That was around the era of MC Convention.
Yes.
Stratford Rex.
Yes.
Mass Club.
Yes.
You know, I was doing all them dances.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was getting prime times. I was getting like, you know what I mean? I was doing the 12 o'clock, the 1 o'clocks with the Nicky Black Markets, the Kenny Kens. I was doing Hysteria.
Yeah.
You know, I was up there, me, Bassman, Trigger, back to back. Like, those are the sorts of stages I was rocking.
Yeah.
You know, there were other girls around, but they were, you know, they were doing their thing in different arenas.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to get into bigging out all the different girls right now. It's not what this is about right now. But, you know, the respect is there. But, you know, I was the only girl having to deal with these big, bad Birmingham, Manchester dances. This little, you know, not, you know, I'm not white, but, you know what I mean? You know, this little...
Olive skin.
Whatever you want to call me. Do you know what I mean? You know, it was, I was in my prime. You know, it was a good time. But being a female MC, and I'm going to use the word female MC because it did make a difference in a way that it intimidated other MCs.
Other MCs by, what do you mean? Like male MCs?
Yeah, I can give you an example, not names, but, you know, like Mass Club, yeah? And this guy know who he is, and I'm not going to call him out because I'm not that sort of person, but I'll give you an example. Like, I've got like a prime time slot with Kenny Ken.
Yeah.
12 o'clock, Mass Club.
Yeah.
And I was at Mass all the time. I had an amazing followers. They loved me.
Yeah.
I think it was just fresh, wasn't it? It's like so different for some people, you know? And, you know, when I got there about 10 to 12, the MC's on the stage, you know what I mean? I got there, you all right, boy, you all right? Yeah, you want a drink? You know what I mean? He's like, no, I'm cool. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm going to go and get my drink, you know what I mean? Get my drink and come back to the stage. Last tune's played, you know what I mean? I'm standing on the stage.
Yeah.
Because it's my time, bruv.
Yeah.
Yeah? Thanks for warming me up.
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean? He turns around on the mic in front of the whole dance. Dry air. You ain't getting the fucking mic, bitch.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah? I'm on the flyer. I'm booked for the dance, yeah? And then I'm just like standing there. I am like shaking. The guy's huge, yeah? Anyway, so I'm standing there. Anyway, so I go to grab the mic of him. He pushes me off the stage.
No way.
He pushes me physically, picks me up by my chest, pushes me off the stage. Yeah,
That's
the ravers
wild.
caught me.
Yeah.
And pushed me back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. By that time, I'm holding back tears. I'm terrified. I'm upset.
I can imagine you would be.
I speak to the promoter. He says, "Don't worry, I'll give you a little bit, but just be quiet."
Yeah.
Yeah. Drops me a little bit extra change, but tells me not to talk to no one about it.
Right.
I didn't do that slot.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one example of like the sorts of things I was faced with.
Yeah.
You know, if I was a man, you would have got tumped up for that.
Yeah. He wouldn't have done it from the first place.
Yeah?
Or he would have chose to have done it or not done it, depending on who the other man was.
Right.
And although there was a lot of ego running around in that time, a lot of people hadn't had that experience of being popular. You know what I mean? Having fans.
True.
Getting paid.
Yeah.
People saying, you're wicked.
Yeah.
Most people that we know today who are now used to that, in that time there, this was a new phenomenon.
Absolutely.
They were like ghetto superstars.
Yeah.
So whoever that person was,
Yeah.
that you were a piss taker to have done that to a girl. I'll tell you that now.
that happened, like I'd come out of dances and well, look, when I say for no reason, this is me, how I felt at the time. But again, we'll talk more about how I zoom out and see how I co-create scenarios, yeah? But, you know, I'd come out of a dance and I'd get rushed by girls for no reason. Rushed, I mean kicked the shit out of.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I bought a brand new Mercedes. I came out, it was sprayed up. There was a time where, you know, there's a bit of kerfuffle going on in the crowd, and the MC's like, yo, behave yourself. You know what I mean? I've done that once in a dance, and the people I said to behave myself with, they rushed me when I got out of the dance. Like, there were all these different things that were happening, right? But look, let's just hold that there. Let's zoom out a bit. What did I only understand and know? Violence, aggression, abuse. So I was just recreating what I'd been experiencing my whole life now in this music scene. So I don't blame anyone for any of it. Yeah, there's different, people could have acted a bit differently, but everything was in my energy field. I was creating a lot of drama in my life, various different things going on. I was feisty.
And I was about to say that. I mean, I don't. No.
I had to be as well. It was like,
I was about to say that. Not that you were feisty, but I was about to say that in my experience, anyway. You know what I mean? There's always two sides to a story, and you were also, dare I say it, right? As an MC, yeah, right. MCs they don't model themselves off of each other. DJs don't necessarily model themselves after each other and whatever. But there is this sense of kind of, you know, like if I go after a DJ, I want to outdo him.
yeah.
I don't want him to outdo me.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah.
Any DJ that says, no, we're all in it together. We are all in it together.
Yeah, but you wanna...
until you're on before me, bruv.
Yeah.
Or until you're after me.
Totally.
Because I want to do better than you. And I know every DJ out there will say the same thing about it. I'm not an MC, but I can only imagine it's exactly the same. Now, as a girl, female MC, I mean, this is my DJ Ron. I've never ever considered this till just now, yeah? I'd imagine that you were, you know, you wanted to outdo other MCs, of course. You wanted to show you were good, right?
Well, as a girl...
As a girl in a man's world.
And as a girl, you had to go 10 times harder.
Yeah, in a man's world. But I also could imagine there would have been a fine line that you didn't realise you were crossing.
Agreed.
And that fine line that you were crossing was like that they can say certain things. They're the man them. They can say certain things. You can't.
That's right. And that's exactly what was
and
going on.
then somebody's up there going, Who does
she think she is?
Who you think you are? You
Yeah.
know, yeah? All right then.
Yeah.
And I suspect that happened.
A lot of that happened. And the thing is, I had to be really tough. I was already quite tough from my home life and my whole life experience, but there was no softness about me.
It weren't how it is now.
No, there's not. You know what I mean? There was no, you know, it was rough.
Yeah. It weren't how it is now. I mean, you have to be more understanding of your female and other counterparts nowadays. Back in the day, that wasn't like that. Back in the day, it was like the man would just say, yeah, you're not going on, pick you up by your thing and throw you off the stage, which is, again, it's a piss take.
Yeah,
and it's a liberty.
It was also a piss take that the promoter did nothing about it and didn't book me again and continued to book the artist.
But you know something, you went through.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you came through and you know, look, I've known you for an extended period of time. And I've only knew a fraction of what your life is, and we're only in this interview up to this conversation up until this part. There's still more to come. But what is very clear, which I never considered till now, not only on your personal life, but although your career is still part of your personal life, is that in your career you actually paved the way for a lot of the women nowadays and other artists who are non-male, yeah. Right, or who don't see themselves as male, yeah, by virtue of sticking by your guns, because you could have turned away and said, you know something, this ain't for me.
I wanted to.
Because it was a very male, until very recently actually, it's been a male-dominated industry, which we all know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But you stood the ground within that sort of like area. So
yeah. I wanted to stop so many times.
Because of those reasons.
It was hard. It was hard. I didn't have a crew. You know, yeah, I'd roll with other MCs and, you know, they'd bring me in and, you know, we'd do some bits together. But, you know, if you look at, let's say Tali, for example, you know, I know she had her struggles as well. Absolutely. But she had full cycle. She was cocooned. She had, you know, people were looking out for her. You know, I'm not saying other female artists had the same, but I never felt like I was part of I was part of the whole. I never felt like I was held by anyone. You know, like, don't get me wrong, you know, I've got to big up like Foxy, Demas J from back in the day. You know, I never had that, and it's a scary place. Like, I used to have my friends that used to come out, like, after all those incidents were happening, my girls are like, we are not having you do a gig now without us being there. I literally had to roll with a gang of people to keep an eye out for me. You know, I wasn't scared, but it was scary. Like, nothing really scared me after what I'd been through in my life. But, you know, I continued, and it was hard, but at the same time, I remember Groove coming up to me and going, take the mic off him, man. And I was like, me? You want me to get on you want me to get on the mic with you? That's when I was like, I've made it. I was like, from when Groove is asking me to get on his set, that's when I was like, okay, I'm going somewhere with this. Even though I've been doing it years and years and years and years, but I don't even know what year that was, but it was definitely like a highlight, a moment where I was acknowledged by someone that mattered.
You know, I don't know whether he recognised how much of an influence that played, on your career and your mindset and this, that and the other. But almost every single person I've interviewed has mentioned him.
Really?
Almost every single person I have interviewed has mentioned Groove in a context.
Needs like a compilation of like...
In a context that's got nothing to do with DJing. To do with himself. It's about how he helped them.
He's amazing.
And this morning, God is my witness, I thought about it because I spoke with Groove yesterday. We were chatting about the children, and the definition of a godfather is someone who looks after you when your parents are not there, who will look after you when your parents are not there.
He's the godfather.
Do you know what I mean? And
He's my godfather.
I thought about that today, and I thought, you know something? That brother has been around for so many people when those people ain't been in a good place.
Yeah. I remember I just did so many shows in Germany. Remember when Germany was popping off?
Yeah.
You know, I was in Germany every other week.
Mannheim.
You know,
Yeah.
You know, those were the times when, you know, I was on the lineups, proper lineups. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was on lineups in the UK, but like, you know, it's like Groove Rider, Lady MC. I'm like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Wow, like, my mum's got all them flyers. I think it was the abroad gigs that really helped me to bond with my peers, because, you know, we fly together, we eat together, you know, all that stuff. And I think that it was really when I started to get to know everyone, because I was around for years, but not everyone really got to know me, like Kenny Ken, Nikki, but I wasn't really close friends with anyone in the scene, if that makes sense. And I think that just once I started to, you know, I want to talk to you about Frost quickly. So when I was talking to you about me getting arrested all the time, Nigel was the only person I would phone when I was at the police station. And he sat me down, because he was up to his own badness as well, right? We both were. But he sat me down and he was like, how much money do you need to stop doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
He's like, you're wasting yourself away. I don't know whether he saw talent in me as an artist or whether he just saw me as a human being or as a young girl or whatever, but it's all these moments from significant people in the industry who I now class as my friends, you know, that have been the building blocks. And it's been amazing. And then in 2012, you know, like I saw all these other girls winning the Best Female MC Award, and I was just like, really? I was like, what? I've been around forever. And then, you know, with like well done, great, I'm really happy for you all.
Yeah.
You know, and then 2012, I won the award for it. At last, I was like, thank God for that. I only need to win it once. Just give me that thing. You know what I mean? And that was a nice moment.
Yeah.
You know, it was a nice moment, and because it was not long after I lost my dad. So there's been loads of beautiful moments like throughout my career, but you know, running YUAF, which we'll talk about in a minute, you know, there was a big gap in my music, you know, because of that. And then in 2020, you know, I won the Lifetime Achievement Award. I don't think it was for my music. I think it was for the work that I was doing.
No, I think it was for everything.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not just for any one thing. That's not
Yeah.
what lifetime achievement is
Okay,
for. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Lifetime achievement is like for even the nuances that you might not even think of. Do you get what I mean? Because they're sat there going, who?
Yeah.
Well, she's done that, they done that. They're not just going, because he's a good DJ. You don't get it for that. I mean, I don't know if Groove's ever received one of those, but he should get one, as you should have received one for that period. 2020 was a good time for you to receive that. So tell me how that decade was for you then.
So that's sort of 2000 to 2010.
Exactly, yeah. How was that in your personal life? Obviously, your dad is no longer living at the home.
I just want to close the story on my dad. I think that's important. He contacted me and he wanted to meet up. He'd been gone about 4 years.
Really, that long?
Yeah, he'd been gone about 4 years.
And you hadn't been in touch with him?
No.
Wow, that's a long time.
And I spoke to him and he said, I want to see you. I was like, I want to see you too.
Yeah.
So we met up in a pub. Surprise, surprise. We caught up. I didn't know where he was living. I didn't know anything. I just saw him, but... So fast forward to 2010. I got a phone call from my dad. It was the most beautiful phone call in my life. My dad was basically apologising for everything he'd done in his life, for me, to my mum, my brother. He recognised the impact it had on all of us. Me and my brother at the time weren't talking. And he really wanted to talk to my brother, but my brother, no one wanted to talk to him. I was the only one that would talk to him. And we spoke for maybe 3 hours. And we were crying. He was apologising. And I was just like, it's okay, Dad, like, we can all have a fresh start. Like, anyone can have a fresh start. If you're sober now, anyone can have a fresh start, you know?
And he was sober?
He was sober.
And do you know how long he'd been sober up until that point?
A while.
A good while,
Yeah.
right. Okay, that's incredible. Amazing.
Being sober after not being sober for 50 years or however long it was. You know, the realisations you get about the harm you've caused. It was a really healing call. And then the next call I got was from my mum to say that he'd been found hung himself from his... Yeah.
That's sorry, Carl.
You know what? I'm absolutely cool with it. And as I'm talking about it, it's just... And it was 3 days before my birthday. And I really believed that everything was going to be okay. You know, like, I was like, he's sobering up. I even spoke to my mum and I said to her, I was having a party at my house, my mum's house. We used to have, you know, those parties we used to have at my mum's. And I said, Mum, can I invite Dad? She was like, ooh, let me think about it. She said, but there's going to be a lot of alcohol there. And I was like, Mum, I just want him there. And she was considering it. And he didn't know. He didn't know that, he didn't know that all that was being considered. You know, there was an opportunity potentially for a new start. And then we found out that he was homeless that whole time when he left all those years ago. He got picked up by the Salvation Army on the streets. And bless the Salvation Army, man. Thank you. They're an amazing organisation. But they cleaned him up. But the guilt killed him. Yeah.
That is such a sad story.
Yeah.
That's such a sad story. I mean, I want to ask a question about the time between that phone call, that 3-hour phone call, and that phone call from your mum.
2 months.
No way.
Yeah. Do you know what? For me, it was just like, I just didn't expect it. But that was his goodbye call. He knew he was going. You know? Like, he never left a note. But I am so grateful that I have always had the heart to go, no, I want to talk to him. I don't care what he's done. I made a choice to see a soul over a situation, you know, a person, you know, and I had the opportunity to have that call with him. So that changed my life, man. That took me 10 years to recover from. I'm not even joking. You know, some people deal with things in a certain way and they put it in a box and they just crack on. You know, they stay angry, they stay upset, they stay resentful. I'm not speaking about anyone I know. I'm just saying people in general. But because I am very empathetic, open, you know, very in tune with my emotions, very emotional person, as you've seen on the interview, I had to go deep to help me recover. Because suicide, when someone takes their life, you're not just dealing with the loss, you're dealing with a suicide. And then when you're dealing with someone that was an abuser, you've then got to deal with, if you want to, if you choose to, if you are that sort of person, you then have to deal with all the abuse and heal from that and heal from the loss. You know, I went through motions of anger, upset, guilt, over and over and over again. And it destroyed my relationship that I was in, really, if I'm honest.
I can't even begin to fathom what you had to go through with a lot of what you've spoken about today, but this particular part here is just like, you know, like you're sat here now, successful in your career as a creatively and within business, and you made it through the other side, you know, of this. Of,
I'm here.
You're here. You made it through the other side of that, and you know, I commend you for that. You know what I mean? And knowing that that could have been easily something that would have toppled you over the edge. You know what I mean?
Did.
Yeah. So,
but I had at that point, maybe 4 years before that, I had my awakening. You know, whatever you want to, spiritual awakening, whatever you want to call it. But it's when I started to really wake up consciously, spiritually. So I had a lot of tools
to deal with it.
Yeah. 20 years of various different modalities and tools and religions and philosophies and rehabs and, you know, programs, you know, that helped, where I helped myself to heal myself. You know, I went through about 6 months of drinking heavily. You know, I'd get through a bottle of vodka a day just to numb the pain.
And that's even with the tools you had?
I mean, the tools at the time, for the first year, it was vodka. And I was at the Kabbalah Centre, and that community, you know, I was with them for, I don't know, 5 years. It's an incredible space, Kabbalah. It opened up, you know, they call it technology for the soul. You know, it encompasses everything from decoding the Bible to astrology, numerology, energy work, different portals and gateways that open up in the universe through different times and how we can tune into those to benefit from them, and all these amazing things, which I'm probably not going to get too deep on.
I'd forgotten that it started with Kabbalah.
Yeah. So prior to losing Dad, the situation with the mass club, the getting beaten up, I even got, you're not going to believe this, but basically I got my nose bitten off by a Rottweiler Yeah. It's like, it was like a string of things. So basically, I was playing around with my friend's dog.
Yeah.
Don't play around with Rottweilers.
Kind of clocked that a long time
Yeah.
ago. Yeah.
So I'm like this, putting my face near the thing, and it just went, "Tut-tut." And literally my nose was hanging off.
No way.
And my nose is sewn on.
Oh, no way, really?
Yeah,
I've never seen that.
Yeah, well, this is not my nose is much bigger than it used to be.
I didn't know that.
My nose is sewn on from here, underneath.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and for me, it was like, I've had enough now. Life.
Yeah.
I was just like, I was such a victim of life. You know what I mean? I was like, life is happening to me. I am a victim. Everyone hates me. I'm getting beaten up. This guy's pushing me, this is where I was at.
Dogs are biting me.
Dogs are biting me, Nobody likes me.
I was even stroking the dog at the time.
Right? And there was like a string of shit that was going on. And I just felt like I was at rock bottom. But I was like a total victim. I was a victim of life. I wasn't taking no responsibility. I was getting into beef with people, because I'm just Larry.
Yeah.
And then, then I did this TV show. Let's not get into that. That's a whole other story. But I did this TV show on BBC Three called Singing with the Enemy. It was quite incredible, actually, because I was working with, like, Michael Jackson's choreographer. I was working with Kylie Minogue's songwriter.
Just tell me the basic premise of the Singing with the Enemy.
So basically, it was putting 3 classical artists in with 3 rappers into a house.
Okay.
You make music, but it was drama.
Okay.
Anyway, I met someone on that show.
Yeah.
And when we were on the show, she started to talk to me about spirituality and everything. As soon as we left the show, we went straight to the Kabbalah Centre. And when I got there, I just felt like I was home. It was amazing. And that's when I really started to look at myself, and started to heal. And then when I met that community, it was like, once you're in that community of like-minded people, I met all sorts of different people from all sorts of walks of life. And then, and then through that journey, I then studied the Hindu philosophy, went to India, stayed in India for a couple of months. I lived in an ashram, and lived in, I stayed in Sai Baba's ashram. If anyone who knows Sai Baba is, he's in spirit now, but, so learn all about the gods, the goddesses, the Hindu faith, like the power of prayer. And it was very religious. I met, someone that then introduced me into Nichiren Daishonin Buddhism, which is the Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, which is the chant that, Tina Turner did. I studied the Lotus Sutra, learn about that whole, and that chant got me through my dad's suicide, because I'd wake up and I would chant for hours.
Yeah.
I would chant the energy out. It would give me life. It would give me life force, because I left the Kabbalah because they told me that because my dad committed suicide, he's now gone to hell.
Oh, right.
And that, for me, I was like, this ain't for me. My dad is not in hell.
Right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My journey with them stopped. But then also I met someone who was a psychic, and she had a school called the School of Psychic Studies. Her name's Molly. She's a really good friend of mine.
Yeah.
She's like 76 now. And then I moved with her for 2 years, and I became her assistant, and I studied psychic development. And I realised I was very talented, very gifted in that area. Yeah. We all are, actually. We just need to know the tools and the techniques to tune in. And then I trained to be a Reiki master.
Yeah, I remember that period.
And then I trained to be a theta healer. And then I started practicing with plant medicine, When I discovered ayahuasca, when ayahuasca called me in.
Yeah.
And I started to work with the plants and the plant medicine. Well, it was like just a next level. So what was beautiful about all of it was I was like, well, that's the same. In another language, that's the same. And I realised it was all the same. But yes, all these modalities are great to get into. They all get us put our foot on the ladder, so to speak. But I saw Goldie. Well, firstly, I did the the Landmark Forum. I did the whole curriculum for that for 2 years. You know, that was, it's hard to even talk about what it is, but Landmark Forum really was around, it gave me a bigger understanding of myself, how I perceive the world, how the world perceives me, what I make things mean, you know, what it means to be your word to yourself, integrity, communication, like very practical things, but on a very deep subconscious level. I did that and I was still like, oh, there's still something. There's still something. I could notice patterns coming up in me. I was like, didn't feel healed, so to speak, even though I'd done almost 2 decades.
Yeah, of course.
Of like deep work, understanding. My consciousness was like really seeing things from a different space. And then I saw Goldie did something called the Hoffman process. And me and Crust have been on this journey together. We did the Kabbalah, we've done all of it together, you know. And Crust was like, sis, this is the one now. This is the one. I was like, we say this every time, Kay. I said, every time we find something, we're like, this is the one. Like, Kay's one of like my best friends. He's like he's my brother in...
RZA. RZA, boy.
Yeah.
RZA, big up Crust.
Yeah, man. Me and him have been on a deep one. You know, this whole little section I've just spoke to you about, me and him have done the whole 20 years together. When I was training up as a healer and he was training in NLP, we'd do swaps.
Yeah.
You know, like we really helped each other a lot. But the Hoffman process, the only way I can describe it, it's like a 7-day rehab for childhood trauma. You get locked off from the world for a week. Your phone's taken off you and you've got no access to the outside world for 7 days. And for 12 to 14 hours every day, you are working on yourself. And I'm talking deep, dark, we're talking shadow work, deep shadow work. And dealing with childhood stuff which you didn't even know was there. It was probably the hardest 7 days of my life. Well, sorry, that's a big statement after everything I've been through. It was the hardest 7 days I chose to put myself through. I wanted to leave on day 4. And I'm hardcore, but it was hard. And it took me about 9 months to recover from that process. And I think that was the kind of end of me putting myself through all these programs. And yeah, I felt like when I came out of that, I didn't even know my identity. It's like I knocked out so much trauma out of me that I didn't know who I was without all that.
That's like bizarre. I can't even. So what you're trying to say is that you felt like more whole with the trauma.
Yeah. I was lost.
So then where did you go from there?
When I started the Kabbalah and when I started to like see myself and the world in a very different way, I started to realise that I had a purpose beyond being an MC. I've been working with a coach, or a number of coaches, a number of healers, but a specific coach, his name's Dennis Murphy, and he started coaching me around a radical philosophy, which was, and it really triggered me, I really struggled with it, and it was, everything I've been doing has been a coping mechanism. All of it.
Okay.
You know, the chanting, the healing, all of it, because it all comes from a place of, if I haven't got it, I don't feel good. I was living as a victim of everything that had happened. As much as I was like, yeah, I'm self-empowered, and I was telling a victim story to myself and creating a sense of disempowerment for me. And when I got my head around how much I was blaming everything and everyone for everything, and then looking at what happened to me previously, now everything is energy, right? So if I am still living in everything is happening to me, I'm going to keep creating situations that justify that I'm a victim. And when I started to work with this coach around, it is about taking full responsibility. There is that element, but You know, when you say, you know, take responsibility for your life, you know, but then what you tend to do is you then blame yourself. Oh, well, it was me, it was all my fault. I've managed, and it's work in progress, constant work in progress, but I'm now in such a healthy space where I don't need any of it. Because when I've reached a place where I understand that we are all creators and we all co-create every single thing in our lives, and it's really easy, right, to take responsibility and say, yeah, I created that when it's good. When something's not that great, or someone does something to you, you know, you don't really take responsibility for that. You say, oh no, he's, you know, look at him, he's bad, it's their fault. Mm-hmm. And just to have a brand new mindset and philosophy that I'm living and breathing now, that I understand now that every single thing from where I was born was here to help me. And the key now is, how quickly can I know that? How quickly can I get into a space of, oh, wow, that's happened. Oh no, that's here to help me. Rather than, why is this happening to me? You know, how quickly can I get into a space of, oh wow, God, I've co-created that. Wonder what's going to come out of that. Because we co-create absolutely everything. Now, this is a very controversial topic for some people that don't understand the concept. But it's a very empowering place to be when you get to that place. And also understanding that the body is literally our guide and our teacher. When something is up in the body, it's talking to us. Because we very quickly go into blame. Oh, my knee. Oh, my knee's really hurting. Oh, it's because of, you know, it's because I knocked my knee on that, or it's because I was running. No, it's not. The body is holding energy, it's holding emotion, it's holding memories. And it's when it makes a sensation or a pain or whatever it is, how quickly now can I get into a space and listen to my body? So when I started at the Kabbalah, I started to have these like incredible realizations about, you know, why human beings are even on this planet. And it was like, if we're not here to share something, if we're not here to bring something, change something, like, what is it all about? And I started to get opportunities to deliver workshops in schools, being a female in a male-dominated industry, all that sort of stuff. And I started to do these talks. And there was this, I've told this story quite a few times. I did this talk in this school, and I told my story about my dad, how music saved my life, a little bit, touching on bits we've spoken about today in a talk.
Yeah.
And I finished the talk, and this girl came up to me. She like literally was spitting image of me at that age.
Yeah.
She was 11.
Yeah.
Short, dark hair, bit chubby, bit scruffy. And she just came up to me and she just said, everything you've just said to me has been happening to me.
Oh no, poor thing. Poor thing.
And I want to do music.
Oh no, poor thing.
And I cried.
Yeah.
And it was almost like, and I'm sure you've had an experience like this, where the whole body does something. My whole body just went through, it was almost like I got hit with like a ton of light, or something happened. And it was like, in that moment, I was like, oh my God, I need to be helping children. This is why I've been through all this. And the big why was like, this is it. This is the why. Continued doing workshops. And then I was working with someone at the time who was a DJ. And, you know, we started doing workshops together. And then and I was like, I want to set up a rap school. And she was like, well, I want to set up a DJ school. And I was like, well, why don't we just set up a DJ and MC school? And then we set up something called the DJ and MC Academy. And that was in 2008. At the time, I had a job working for BT alongside my music. I was a sales rep. And I decided to pack that in because, you know, we started doing this project. Now, bearing in mind at the time, I didn't have any capital of my own. So, yeah, she basically put all the money up to set everything up. We bought 2 ML Jeeps and we converted them into DJ vans.
Okay.
So I opened up the boot,
Yeah.
DJ kit comes out, go to estates and we work with kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It was great. It was amazing. But, not long after we set it up, she fell pregnant.
Okay.
And it was cool. But basically, it was a lot of the weight was then on me to run this organisation. I've never run a company before. Didn't want to run a company, actually. I had no intention of, setting up a company or... I just wanted to help kids in some way. And then the next year, she put us forward for Dragon's Den. I didn't want to do it. I'd had my own experiences in the media and TV. I didn't ever want to go on TV again. But she was like, well, I'm doing it without you. And I was like, no, you're not. You're not representing me. We didn't have the best relationship, me and this partner at the time. Generally because I was resenting her, because my music career was taking a stop, because I then had to run this organisation. My mother came on as a volunteer. My mum was volunteering. My best friends were volunteering. We were working with so many amazing kids on these streets. It was incredible. Anyway, we went on Dragon's Den. It was one of the scariest moments of my life, being grilled by the dragons for 2 hours. We didn't get the investment. What I did realise from that moment there was that I didn't want to work with that partner anymore. In that period of time we took out a loan, she got her money back and the business was paying back the loan, basically. But, we didn't sign any paperwork together. I was down as a director, and when I decided to pack it in, I'd had enough. It was just really hard work. The partnership was hard work. Basically what happened was she basically signed me off as director, shareholder, everything, and I basically lost everything. So she kept the business, and then I had to figure out what I was going to do. I lost everything. I'd left my job. I had no income. So I kind of took a bit of a break, and I was just like, right, I need to decide what I'm going to do. I went to Thailand, did a bit of travelling. And then I was like, well, you know what? I've done it once.
Yeah.
I can do it again. So the London Urban Arts Academy was created. I originally set the company up in 2009, but it was like a sister company that was quite dormant. But luckily I already had some infrastructure there. So yeah, set up on my own with the support of others. The Young Urban Arts Foundation, now known as the Young Urban Arts Foundation. We've worked with 22,000 young people over the past 14 years. We've got a double-decker bus, which is converted into a multimedia studio. We take the bus into areas where there's little or nothing for young people to engage in. We've got music production, podcasting. We've got a vocal booth, a stand-up vocal booth. We've got a top deck where we do lyric writing, DJ workshops, and we take that bus into council estates to work with young people who probably were a bit like me, wanted an escape, maybe haven't got a very steady home life, and to give them an outlet to express themselves and to get involved in creativity. And that's what I've been doing pretty much for 14 years. It's been a very, very, very bumpy road. It's been very hard. But, we've won multiple awards. I got an honour from the Queen a couple of years back for the work that we've done. So, again, thank you to that woman that robbed me, basically. I basically got robbed and showed me that you are capable of being a business owner. You are capable of being an entrepreneur. You're capable of doing this all on your own. But deep down, I've had a pain in my heart, because I've been wanting to do my music.
Yeah.
And my music took a hit, a big hit.
Currently, you're certainly from the outside looking in. You're balancing. You're getting closer to getting this balance with your music. So much so that you've changed your name from Lady MC to Indigo Reign. And so, what was the decision-making process there?
Oh, good question. That's a really good question. I wanted to change my name a good 10 years ago. Lady MC was original back in the 90s, the name. Let's just look at the name. Forget about the person for now. As a brand, there's so many other women around, which I'm so grateful for. I'm so happy to see. It's brilliant. But I just felt like, Lady MC at the time was a great name to have because I was one of the only ladies around. But also, talking about everything we've just spoken about, you know, metamorphosis, you know, the caterpillar turning into a butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm a butterfly now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you understand the meaning of changing a name energy-wise. You know, you understand that, you know, what people call you is what you summon. You know what I mean? You know, and I wanted change from this, you know, traumatized, aggressive, feisty girl, young woman, into a very wise, mature, soulful, more musical woman. And it took me a while to kind of take the plunge of it, but I just wanted a fresh start.
And how's that working out for you?
The day I changed my name officially, which was only 9 months ago, everything changed. Different opportunities started to come because Lady MC, she's very jungle, very jump up, you know, very rugged and raw, kind of. You know, Indigo Reign is an embodiment of change. It's more around the soulful, musical sound of drum and bass. Also, you know, I dance now from living in Kenya for the past 3 years, on and off.
What you just said is actually really quite interesting because it's really actually quite pleasant to hear it in that way. That Lady MC was like, you know what I mean, it encompasses an era.
Yeah.
And Indigo Reign is like this other era, which is like also a musical, I mean, you obviously could ride on anything, but it's a musical transition as well for you and a personal transition for you. Yeah.
And an energetic it's an energy thing for me.
Yeah.
Everything's energy for me. But, you know, like, I'm not going to we can't go deep like that, you know what I mean? I've tried to keep it.
Yeah, of course,
but even the name alone has got some substance. There is a lot of force behind the name.
Right.
And a lot of support behind the name, energy-wise.
Okay.
And I was called to change my name.
It's actually quite an interesting way of perspective of looking at things. Even Goldie says that from time to time. He'd be like, no, I didn't paint that. He said, I'm going to go and do this thing, but I didn't do it. Do you know what I mean? That came from some divine place, and then it came through me, and then I did it. But I think we've covered like a lot of topics here.
Just a bit.
Yeah. But what I do have a question for you now that we're at this point of Indigo Reign is what does the short-term, mid-term, long-term future hold for Kerry, and what does it hold for Indigo Reign?
All is one.
All is one. Yeah. All is one by the name, you mean?
All is one.
Yeah. Okay.
There's no double life.
Yes.
No this, that. It's like the oneness of myself.
Yeah.
And that is what Indigo Reign is.
Yes.
It's like it's the embodiment of everything we've just spoken about.
Okay.
It's like the flower from the lotus, from the mud.
Yes.
You know, I've been in the mud. Now I'm now the flower.
Yes.
I'm going to be a bit vague with your answer to your question, but since I've been open to, since I changed my name, I had writer's block for 8 years. 8 years. God, I could hardly write anything. And if I did, it was like such a struggle. I've been writing lyrics more than I've ever written in my entire career.
Congratulations.
What is coming through me is something that I've never experienced. So short term, get it out. It's just like get whatever I've got that's been in me for all these years, is get it out. I need really good producers to work with. I've got a few producers that I'm talking to, especially off the back of hospitality. People want to do some work with me. I want to make some music. I'm not on any music. You know, I want to start being a voice on music, but not just a voice. It's not just about, I want people to hear my bars. I want people to feel my spirit. You know, I feel like I have a purpose to share whatever this embodiment is, you know. So short term, it's exploration, you know, relaunching, you know, the name.
Yeah.
Developing the brand.
Yes.
Because the brand is in development.
Yes.
Creation, short term. That's it. Create.
Do you know something? And I'll say this as a closing statement. Yeah. To think that this music that, by your own description, saved your life, yeah? That you've been going through for all of these years, and that now, to be at this point now, and to be going again. There's not many careers that give people so much joy that they do 30 years of it, get to 30 years on, and then start again. I mean, if you could figure something, then let me know. But I'm just blown away by that because what resonates with me is how Indigo Reign and why Indigo Reign has come around and what yet is to happen with Indigo Reign. And I hope that there are anybody listening to this can take away from this that it isn't over unless you say it's over.
Right.
And on that note, I'd like to thank you for joining me, Kerry.
Thank you for being my therapist today.
Well, that's a pleasure. You know what I mean? I'm not a therapist, but it was just a pleasure to listen to your story.
Yeah, I've never had the opportunity to. I've done a TED talk and I've done speeches and things for my charity and stuff, but never had the opportunity to, from birth to date, to be able to reflect on my life. I'm going to celebrate myself because, and anyone else that's like listening, it's like, it's quite incredible to be put through this process. Let me just say that it's been incredible to be put through this process and be the witness of my life through talking to you.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm really pleased you were able to join us because you are very busy. Do you know what I mean?
Very busy. Yeah. When I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. Come, give me a hug. Here you go. Yeah. Well done. And that's a wrap.